Welcome back, and as promised, we have a one-on-one interview with the Vice President of the Philippine Software Industry Association, or PSIA, which is the umbrella organization of all the stakeholders in the software industry. I would like to welcome to Business and Leisure Mr. Joey Gurango, who heads his own IT company, Gurango Software Company. Good evening, Mr. Gurango.
Good evening, Butch.
Mr. Gurango, I understand you are currently the Vice President of the Philippine Software Industry Association. For starters, can you give us a background on your association?
Sure, Butch. PSIA is now 25 years old. We're celebrating our 25th year anniversary this year. So it's one of the oldest IT-related associations in the Philippines. The association represents about 150 members as of last year. I know we've added some more members. Pero we're fluctuating between 150 to 170 members. The members of our association represent the whole range of software services and products. Most of our members are involved in the IT BPO sector, the largest and fastest growing sector for the IT industry in the Philippines today. But we do also have members who are involved in not just providing software services, but also software products, which are being marketed locally and all over the world. So our goal for this year, in our 25th anniversary, is to get more visibility for the association, attract more members, and be a better representative of the industry, not just in the Philippines, but globally.
Okay, so the association is not really that young. You're celebrating your 25th anniversary this year. Tell me, where is the Philippine IT industry in the global market?
As of last year, the industry had a compounded growth rate of about 25%. The last 2 years, we've been growing about 25% yearly. Last year, we started out with about $12 billion in revenues, approximately, and we expect to exceed $15 billion by the end of next year.
Tell me, how is our local industry faring in the Southeast Asian region and in the bigger market outside of Asia?
Well, as you know, the Philippines is now the #1 destination for voice in the Philippines. When it comes to voice services, the call centers, both inbound and outbound, we are now considered #1 in the world. We've actually surpassed India in that area. However, on the non-voice side, we're still a bit behind. Overall, our share of the global industry is at around 10%. And so you can imagine there's still a lot of room for growth for us globally.
Well, it is already quite impressive to lord it over our stiff competition in this side of the world. What particular areas of the software industry have we distinguished ourselves?
Yeah, I think our primary value proposition for our software industry specifically, but also the entire IT BPO industry as a whole, is our affinity for English. When it comes to projects or services that require the delivery of services in English, specifically American English or British English or Australian English, the Filipino service provider for IT excels in that.
Okay, let's now talk about PSIA. Maybe you can tell us about your latest projects?
Well, this year, I think if I was to summarize the 3 main areas that the PSIA is involved in, one is a continuation of an ongoing capability development effort. We produce a lot of very good IT graduates, but for the most part, when they come out of school, they don't have exposure or experience in, shall we say, the most employable skill sets. And therefore, for us to be able to make them more employable and become a good resource for our industry, we need to do what we call near-hire training. It's something which can be done within a 3 to 6 month time frame. The members of our association have committed to providing the resources, both training and experience, work experience resources, to provide these near hires with the opportunity to get trained. These programs are sponsored by TESDA. They're funded by TESDA in cooperation with CHED, the DOST, and the ICTO. And we provide these near hires with training that would allow them to become more employable and more productive within our industry. The second major thrust, which I think is important this year, is our focus on promoting the development of locally grown intellectual property. For the longest time, the Philippines has been known as a provider of services, which is a great industry. It employs lots and lots of people. But the truth is, in the long run, it's going to be an industry which will be defined by pricing, and price pressures will always come in. So it's a very good strategy to also develop the other part of the IT spectrum, which is the product development or intellectual property development. And the third, I think, which is most important for our members, is to promote the industry in those target markets that we have a strong value proposition for. So countries like North America, Western Europe, Australia, New Zealand, those countries where we know we have a strong value proposition and a very strong competitive advantage, dun kami pupunta ngayon. We're promoting the industry, promoting our members, trying to encourage trade between our industry and the companies or customers in those areas.
Oh, we're conquering new worlds then in the IT industry. Is that bigger market our focus of attention now?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me paint a picture globally of what's happening right now. If you were to look at, for example, 10 to 20 years ago, the growth in software services and products was primarily focused in North America and Western Europe. The consumption of software services and products in those parts of the world have actually slowed down together with the economies. Right now, the fastest growing economies in the world are found right here in Asia, in the Asia-Pacific region. It's no longer just the North American and Western European countries, but right here in our own backyard. If we focus on just the Asian region, I do believe that we can increase that market share significantly and even get to the point where, say, in 5 years, if we're able to reach our goal of being a $50 billion industry within the next 5 years, then we could be in the top 5 in the world.
I see. Okay, in terms of government support, what has the government, or at least the present administration, done to support the industry?
Yeah, well, this particular administration of Pinoy has been very, very friendly, very, very supportive of the IT BPO and specifically the software services sector. Ever since Pinoy was elected, his administration has empowered the Department of Science and Technology, specifically the ICTO arm of that industry, to provide funding and to provide support for our industry. I would cite specifically 2 initiatives. For example, I mentioned that one of our primary initiatives this year is capability development, training more people to become employable and to become productive members of our industry. A lot of that is really empowered through the support and financial assistance from the government. And that was not there up until a few years ago. So developing our human resource is an important area that the government is helping us in. The other area I think where it's been very helpful is that this administration has been very vocal about promoting the IT BPO industry in those target countries. So in many of the trade missions that we've seen, for example, in North America, US and Canada, in the UK, and even in Australia, they always put the IT BPO industry front and center in what they're trying to promote.
I'm glad to hear that because this is clearly the future, and we have proven that the Filipino is right there among the very best in the software industry. Your insights have been most enlightening, Mr. Gorango, and I would like to thank you very much for guesting in Business and Leisure.
You're welcome, Butch. Have a good day.
Hearing how the Philippines has grown in the very competitive world of software in the global community has really made us proud. We do have a lot of highly creative IT graduates yearly, and while we do not have as big a base as China and India in terms of human resources, we can continue to distinguish ourselves in terms of competitive proficiency and, best of all, by improving on our already world-renowned excellent service orientation. On that note, we end another edition of BizWatch, the business section of Business and Leisure. Up next is Property Line, featuring some of the outstanding listings of PhilippineRealtyListings.com, your online one-stop shop for properties that are for sale or for lease. Now, they're just one click away.
In a short while, Lifestyle and Leisure will take the spotlight, showcasing exciting features on Lifestyle Chronicles, Places, and Sports Shoot. Catch them all when Business and Leisure returns.